Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV Morning Conversations. Wow, Skur, beautiful day here. Yesterday, just a really rainy afternoon, and just that cold, rainy rain. And boy, it's just a beautiful morning. And believe it or not, it's it's 30s, but it's not like radically cold 30s, so it's actually not bad at all. Thank goodness, because who wants that frigid cold air yet? I really don't. But come on, start going this way. You're going the wrong way. Oh, so get the dogs to the barn and get the morning going and get the adventures going. And YouTube channel, I'm sure they can say, yeah, here's some adventures in there. Come on, hey, so this guy here, already getting for him, right? Come on, Scout. So we got to go the other way. For some reason, he's fixated on my my yard here. Come on, Scout, get over. Come on, Scout, get to the barn. Get to the barn. Nope, get over there. Get going. I know what you're doing. Get to the barn. Oh my gosh. No, not there, you goofball. You're confused. He's confused. Come on, Scout. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, the barn. Start you done a routine? Come on, Ginger. Yeah. Watch my video as I chase my dogs around. Is that the video? This is the dog video. Come on, let's go. Come on. Oh my goodness. What a day yesterday was. You know what I thought to myself? I just bought a base F-150 truck. I mean, it's not totally, but close. It's the XLT package. Come on. This is not. Come on, let's go. So I got to think to myself this morning. I mean, I really, sincerely, don't talk about this morning. I saw it all the time. It's challenging to bring a Monday morning or Wednesday morning conversation. Come on, let's go. Without kind of having content to talk about. And it's not easy. I got to take care of these guys. Oh, my gosh. Dogs. Let's go. Come on. Get in the barn. Yeah, it's like you don't do this freaking everyday, dogs. Anyway, so I got to think to myself this morning, when is the last time I bought a base vehicle? Yeah, what do you mean base vehicle? And I think to myself, wow, is that word? Gotta take a time out. Look at this thing here. What's the odds of this? I mean, come on. A week ago? Oh, yeah. The birds are living in my barn. See there? I got the birds, so I got to take care of that real quick. All right, take 3, not take 2. Jesus Christ, I had to stop video for the dogs. I had to stop video to clean off the hood. Yeah, what's the odds of this thing here? A week ago, did I have a vision a week ago that this thing would be sitting in my garage? There's no way. Yeah, and he did. I've got our plastic cover. These birds. Bird brains, right? Remember we talked about that? But, what's the odds of this? But here's the thing. This is a XLT, which it isn't the XL. So when you have, see right here, I don't know if you can see the angle or not. That said XLT. So this is one step below above the base. And I got to think of myself, yeah, I'm just going to take a moment to look at the truck. I had to clean out the, that bed was just trashed. Anybody need some tires? I'm going to put these on Craigslist. I don't know. Are these things worth $1,000 or $1,500? I mean, brand new tires and wheels. And simply what happens, the person on Craigslist, they just want the tire. They don't want the wheel. I wonder if anybody would reach out in my video and say, yeah, I think you get $15 for it, or nah, you're going to maybe get $1,000. You'll fight for that, which I don't disagree. But if anybody out there is looking for some nice brand new tires and wheels for a Ford F-150 truck, and these what are they interchangeable? Come on, get on back in here. Get on back. Let's go. See, if I stand here and talk too long, the dogs are gonna do their thing. So, anyways, goodness gracious. So I get to think to myself, base, and wow, is that a broad statement? Yeah, I thought to myself, I've never bought in recent times vehicle, and so that to me. Does base have a negative connotation to it? I mean, sincerely, does that kind of have that? It's not too bad up here this morning. It's cold, but I'm dressed a little stronger, heavier. Base, think about this. What's the base pay, right? So when you go to get a job, you're the low man on the totem pole, and yeah, who's on first, who's on second, right? That's the baseball. Conversation. So I was thinking to myself, wow, when is the last time I bought a base vehicle? And one thing about that Ford F-150 truck down there, the XLT, If they would have made it a Lariat, I don't even know, but my guess would have been $5 grand more, I guess. I don't even know. So they tried to keep the truck within a reasonable price range to be able to modify it without getting too crazy. But for me, I'm thinking, when's the last time I bought a base car? Yeah, that's just, I can't even tell you. That's probably, besides the F450, that's like an XLT SXT or something. So it's kind of, those are kind of both at the same level. But I just have to think to myself, wow. And I can actually relate with that. Yeah, that'd be like 1992. I think it was the fall of 92. I bought a base Toyota pickup truck. It was a Toyota Tacoma truck. Back then, I don't think they were calling it Tacoma. I can't even remember 92. But I mean, it was no air conditioning, no electric. It was a two-door truck. It was because I had started another direction in my life of selling a wireless car wash. Yeah, I was one of the first guys of many others in the area that Dry Wash and Guard. That'd be amazing. Anybody here knows that name, Dry Wash and Guard. It's a product that Rod Yank, that was a buddy with Slick 50. If anybody here's my generation, yeah, remember Slick 50? Well, there was a gentleman that worked for the guy that invented Slick 50. It's, you know, it's like you pour a bottle of Slick 50 in your engine, and it's supposed to protect it forever. It's the so the gentleman that worked with the guy that founded that, he then broke off on his own and created a wireless car wash. It's a product. I had the bottle sitting out downstairs. I should have showed it to you before I came upstairs. It's a liquid. It's a liquid that you spray on. It's just like the spray, the fine detailer, spray waxes and stuff like that. But that product was about you spraying it over dirt and you wouldn't scratch your paint. Yeah, that was a product that came out in 1991, 92 out of Las Vegas. And it was a network marketing company. And boy, talk about my true beginnings of really getting a kick in the pants to grow up. And really, my eyes got even wider in life is when I left my lucrative, I shouldn't say lucrative, I should say nice, good income I was building up in the oil industry, where I worked so hard to create my own income. And I was just starting to get at that threshold from that real low level of making a living most of my career. And I left that to pursue a wireless car wash network marketing company. And yeah, what was my base at that time? You know, meaning that in network marketing, you need to have a big base of followers and subscribers, I should say, or I should say other network marketers that, you know, keep the what they call the pyramid scheme, ball game for you to make money. So yeah, that was a very challenging time for me, incredibly challenging time. But the point that I'm trying to resonate back to you is, I gave up nice cars because I was going broke, and I had to buy a base Toyota pickup truck. So I was probably in 1992 is probably the last time that I bought like a base Toyota pickup truck. And I rode around that thing all day long, clutched it. I worked out in the summer months, cold months. Anyways, that's a whole other story. But going back to the base, yeah, where'd my base income go? Yeah, I didn't basically have an income for the most part. Yeah, the network marketing stuff. Oh my gosh! And how do you like when your friends called you? Hey, I want to talk to you about something. Yeah, who hasn't had that call, right? I want to sign you up. And that's what I learned. I signed up, between me and the other people signed people up. I had 750 distributors, but there was like a 1% factor of people actually did anything. Yes, 750 distributors. I had like maybe 7 to 10 people actually ever did anything. Yeah, beyond believable. Yeah, but I get it. The network marketing thing. So anyways, the Toyota truck, and so then I thought to myself, I bought this XLT, and yeah, that's like another, it's not the base truck. But anyways, I just thought to myself this morning, base is it's such a broad name, but it's such the key foundation to everything. And I just think to myself, what's the base? And that's kind of where it all starts and begins. I mean, I think to myself, just like in that truck out there, they try to kind of take a base truck and then they modified it, right? Well, for us in life, our base was us in our true beginnings of taking a job and getting the base pay. But even though now, it's pretty incredible how so many people are the tech people, the IT people, and the computer people, and they come out of 4 years of college, and their base income is like $100,000 plus. I mean, just incredible. And that's something I think to myself more than ever of this inflation. I think there's not even, I never even really hear it talked about. I truly believe, what is our base now? And what I mean by that is what our base, like I'm 59 years old. So I think to myself, the base of this country now is a 20-year-old. Those are the people now that are going to be replacing me as time goes on in this physical world and life and work. And I think, wow, I just hear so many stories of the younger base that make incredible sums of money. And don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of young people too. It's challenging. I'm just trying to give a broader view of what has driven the inflation through the roof in this country. And I never really hear the conversations much more about how the younger base, the running joke was, and nobody here that's a younger person, I'm not calling you out by any means. I'm just sharing information. But the talk was, that the younger base was living in their parents' house, saving up money to buy a house. And it wasn't the right time yet. So it's really intriguing to think about how just like once the pandemic kind of came in, it just seems like, did that younger base then cross the bridge, go buy a house? And yes, they did, because we had 2.75% interest rates to go buy a house. So I'm not here to blame anybody, but I think what's interesting is anybody kind of looked at the base of our population that has helped create the inflation, the challenges. And what I'm saying is, if you had all these people sitting in the base with their parents for years that were saving up their monies to go buy a house, which I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. That isn't like a negative connotation. I'm not trying to be negative here, but here's the thing: once the interest rates, so that's what I heard. I just heard a lot of the younger base was waiting for a good time to buy a house, where they felt like the housing prices were respectable, but the interest rates were respectable. So I think they came out in the droves. I think the younger base came out in the droves to buy housing, which created overnight the higher demand for properties. And then, as we know, we had the hate of the hate of the hate, where the crime was going through the roof in the cities, that many people wanted to get out of the city and move out into more of the rural areas. That's huge. It's still going on today. So I think to myself, wow, the base of this, the younger base of this country, I think they have contributed to the inflation. In meaning they are more financially stronger than, say, my generation, of the amount of money they can make and earn in today's environment. And yeah, I know things are more expensive. I get all that, but I'm just saying, part of me says in 2020, when the pandemic kind of started to flush out, came to be, and then all the different variables started playing out, where people had remote working and blah blah blah, and interest rates on homes went to borderline nothing. I just think that, and then the car sales initially, where you could get a car for a great deal, everybody forgets about first part of the pandemic. The car dealers are still happening, where you could go get a car discounted and get a great deal. It wasn't really till really late 2020 things started kind of changing. Then going to 2021, the car market all changed. The used car market then really started to take off late 2020, early 2021, because of the pandemic-related manufacturing challenges, which is still ongoing, just for the record. So I think the younger base drove prices higher because they had the money to buy a house, but also the interest rates were so low, it gave them incredible buying power. So for the person that had a $350,000 home, and all of a sudden everybody wanted it, and the person that paying, let's just say, $500,000 for the home over a period of time, while the home continued to gain value from other sales in the neighborhood and surrounding communities, that younger person, they could afford that home because they get such a great interest rate, and they saved up money to be able to go buy a house. So the younger base, I think, has kind of helped drive the inflation in our country, and the cars too. I think that they've had an opportunity to upgrade their cars. I just think that in the pay, and for the younger generation, younger base, the word in the street was you could get a job to anybody anywhere you want, because if you had the right credentials in your job, you could go easily transfer to a different company and relocate. So it was a very lucrative time. And I'm not saying that that's all gone. I don't think it's gone. I think it's dynamics are changing some, but I still think that the incredible opportunity for younger people to make incredible sums of money is still there. So that's what I kind of started thinking to myself this morning, is where we are today, the base. What is the base? And I talked about it the last few days. What's driven the electric car base? We already know the Ice Age base. Yeah, it's a bunch of me and thank God, even younger people too, that just love that exhaust. I mean, come on, that truck's exhaust. Even my daughter last night, that's the first time she actually seen the truck in person. And so, boy, oh boy, last night she got home. It was like 6 o'clock, 6:30. We were out in the shop. And she's like instantly like, oh my gosh. Now she's like, I love this truck. And I'm like, yeah, well, you kind of crossed the bridge on that. But I really didn't want to buy that truck just probably for her to be driving that around. That was not the goal. The goal really was to figure out if it made any sense to even buy the thing. And now, even I'm like, wow, that thing is so cool. So, the base, right? It's like the core foundation of how we get going in life. I just think that you have a base, right? It's the bottom that we kind of then rise up from that bottom. And I think to myself, that's just such a broad conversation today, more than ever in our society and conversations, because it goes to the car manufacturing side. They think they have a base. They think that they have a huge electric enthusiasts. And I don't know. I mean, sincerely, I'm not the guy that has all the numbers to know the real deal. I wonder if anybody is even putting together a research, but do they really want to know? See, there's another thing. On the base side, does the automotive industry really want to know that maybe there isn't as big an electrical vehicle base as they think there is, but they just want to ignore that? And they just realize that the governing bodies at some point are going to force you to buy an electric vehicle. But that's years and years away. I mean, that's years and years. So, I mean, you have to kind of wonder yourself, but all the infrastructure of the base of the electric charging stations, how that's being installed everywhere, growing rapidly, and then the manufacturing, and then the batteries. And that's one reason. So think this through. So right now, if you buy an electric vehicle today, it doesn't really matter where it's built. You get a tax credit per se, but next year, I think it is, that if the vehicle is built in Europe and it doesn't have enough American components, then you don't get a full tax credit. So now all the European manufacturers are really not happy with this new Inflation Act, I think it is. I think it's called the Inflation Act, whatever bill they just passed, the $1 billion Inflation Act bill or whatever. And in that language, it talks about how if you buy an electric car, you can still have a tax credit capability on that purchase. Like the Mustang Mach-E is a $7,500 tax credit. The Ford F-150 is a $7,500 tax credit. But now the language is that if the car doesn't have enough American or domestic side components in it, you don't get a full tax credit. So now the European guys are like, oh my gosh. So now they're borderline scrambling to put infrastructure here in this country for the batteries to be built. That's huge. I mean, we realize or not, as I speak, there's major factories on the drawing boards and being built to build massive amount of batteries for the whole blowout, going full blown battery vehicles. I mean, you're not going to stop. We're not going to stop where things are going. I mean, that's the thing. Even if the electric base isn't here today, they're gambling on that the battery, vehicle base will grow by leaps and bounds, which it probably will. I mean, it's just the way we are as humans. We resist change, but then as time progresses, the resistance, wears down, and you eventually cave, and you end up, taking what you get is what you get. I mean, that's society. That's the challenge versus the people that oppose it. But I think myself on the political side that here's Trump that has announced his presidency, which I think it's like, oh my gosh, so soon. that he's announcing that. And I think to myself, where's the base? Which we already know he has a base. And I think to myself, on that base, I think that's a challenge because there's so much of a base that wants Trump, but there seems to be a bigger base that doesn't want Trump. So I think that for the GOP party, I think Trump, and some people here that may be Trump supporters or Trump haters, I'm just sharing ideas and views and thoughts. I'm not here to promote them. I'm not here to not promote them. I'm not here to be negative or anything. I'm just sharing information. And for me as an individual, I think that Trump's base will be overwhelmed of the opposers. I think that's what will play out. We witnessed it in the last election. I know that gets deep with the stolen election, whatever. Okay, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But what I'm trying to convey is the base. What is his true base? And for me, I think if you're somebody running as a president here in the next term, next election, I should say, I think you should be an individual that has a broad base, that you want to try to cater to a broad base of people and not, narrow it down to just select, hard left or hard right. That's the challenge in our country more than ever. I think that if you look at the elections, it just seems like, the base, half the base is this way and half the base is that way. And I think that if we could all kind of move more to one base to kind of make things more agreeable, and we have to give and push and everything else, we'd be a better country. We'd be united versus divided. So I think for Trump, I think that's going to be, I think it's very challenging. I think that I personally think it should be a different candidate, because I think the different candidate could reach out to a bigger base to try to get more of a better movement. But at the same time, I'm not here to tell anybody who they should be picking and choosing. That's not really the goal here on the channel. The goal is just to share ideas and views and thoughts. And that's all. And that's what I think the base. I just talked to myself this morning, wow, when is the last time I bought a base vehicle? And at the same time, I think to myself, the base is such a core foundation of our true beginnings. You were just a little thing in this world, and you grew up bigger and badder. And I just think, you're hearing about down like in Florida, the base of the foundations of these big condominiums are not safe, and their building falls down. Yeah, so how is that base? But I just think as well, it's just where we are in today's society. What's the core base of our values? Where is that kind of gone? I think that sadly, the media machine has just a niche of a base that gets people to believe that what they tell people is wrong, meaning they try to tell people what is right that is wrong, if you kind of get that message. And that's why, look at Elon Musk. What was the real true base of Twitter? Will we ever know what was the true base of the individuals on Twitter and the followers, these so-called political powerful people and entertaining people, and list goes on and on and on. It's just incredible. I have not joined Twitter. I've never been on Twitter, and I'm just kind of sitting back and kind of seeing how that all plays out. And then, I knew this would happen. People are going to flock and try to create their own Twitter. How does Elon handle that when more than half the base disappears? So for me, Elon, wow. I've spoke about it so many times over the last, many conversations in my videos, how I'm just intrigued to watch Elon take on Twitter and what comes from all that. And Borley, you got to say that I think he's lost a big base, or has he? Has he? There really was never that huge base as many may have thought. That's what's intriguing. Here, kind of, changing the subject a little bit. Here I'm reading about the oil. Reading this morning about oil. I talk about confusing times. The Wall Street Journal this morning, I didn't read much, in all sincereness. I just kind of glazed over the Wall Street Journal's main focal theme points of different articles. But, supposedly diesel fuel, it's not going to be that bad, they're saying. They're saying that the refineries that have been in the off-season of getting their refineries kind of up to date and more efficient and better working, that's coming to an end. So we're going to have a little better production for the refineries. And that, oh, by the way, all the oil out of the Gulf is going over to Europe, by the way, because the New York and the Northeast doesn't get the Gulf oil, so that's kind of confusing on where we're getting the oil. And oh, by the way, don't be too worried about the fuel because we're gonna have, if we don't have a cold winter, then there won't be that much heating oil to be sold. So really won't offset the diesel. I mean, it's such a mixed. It's a mixed article. When you start reading it, you just kind of scratch your head like, on the one side, you're telling us that don't be too concerned about the diesel fuel holding its high price and will go higher prices. Don't be too concerned about that. But at the same time, you're then sharing information how all the diesel fuel out of the Gulf is being shipped overseas, but the Northeast isn't getting any. And oh, by the way, if we really do have a really cold winter, then that could possibly put a little bit more of a challenge on the refining possibilities. And oh, by the way, the fuel oil consumption is actually going up. I mean, so it's just like, wow. And then here's even more confusing. I mean, it's what was the base of that message? What was the base of the message? I had two different end results of how I thought I read that and came to closure of what I think the message was supposed to be. But then I'm reading that now. But here's the thing. It's like today's Wall Street Journal, it just seemed to have so many themes of trying to actually share that things are okay. Things aren't really that bad. Okay, well, we talked earlier about the base of the younger generation makes a lot of money, and I sometimes think it's just a whole new world. It's a whole new world that people just make so much money that I'm not so sure that the radical everybody's going to go broke is the reality. There's a kid started up the Mustang to go to school. I can hear that through my yeah, you can see it right there. So so anyways, so then there's a whole article about how people are now back to borrowing out of their house. Okay, so people are now going to start cashing out of their homes again because they can get a 7.7% credit line against their home versus they're borrowing money on a credit card of like 19% or whatever. So apparently, but this is second quarter data. So I just think, wow, that's second quarter data. So where that runs through, April, May, June, but where is the July, August, September data? We're already in November. So it's basically, presenting just a really pretty picture that, hey, people are just preparing for, them to have cash flow should they lose their job. So it's like a mixed message. What's the base of the message? What's trying to be conveyed through that is, on one hand, they're saying people are confident to borrow their homes. But on the other hand, they're borrowing money their homes to pay the bills and be prepared to lose their job. Okay? And so then the next thing you read is how the retail end is seeing a surge in people buying things, that people aren't really pulling back. But then in the next article, Target, the stock is sinking because they're down 50% in their profits. Wow. What's the base of the messages? It's just incredible. Then you go to one article in a paper. It shows that the Republicans have got now 218 votes, a majority. I think it's 219 votes to be majority in the Congress to hold the House. But then you can read another. The Wall Street Journal then says it's at 217. It's not at the 218 that gives majority. So, wow. So what's the base of each, what's the base of what that paper or that, website is trying to convince the base, right? Yeah, so for anybody out there that buys a base car, this is not me wanting to, be negative on that. I'm just sharing with, a person buys a base car, they probably have a lot of money in their checking account because they didn't go out and do all the add-ons just to get it. A lot of people, a car is a transportation. It's point A to point B. And there are so many people out there that's all they don't care. They don't care. But for me, what is it about the vehicle? Where did the base foundation for me in my life come from me being addicted to cars and trucks? I mean, where did that come from? To have that passion to ride down the road in a car. I mean, even for me, I think where, what uncle or grandfather, where'd it come from? The chariots? We go back to Roman times. Didn't they have those things that they pulled behind the horse? The wheels of time? Wheels through time? Yeah, I'm wearing actually that shirt. I don't even know if I can see it. Dale's Wheels Through Time here. Or if sadly he's passed. And I go down there. See there, Wheels Through Time. You can see it all. Yeah, so Dale, who sadly passed, and what was his base in life besides being a motorcycle maniac? That guy's base was all about motorcycles. All right, everybody, just trying to give you some entertainment content. I don't know, whatever. I just like to share my ideas and views and thoughts. I just enjoy talking to my phone. Yeah, I mean, you think it through. I'm just sitting here talking to my phone, right? Have I lost it yet? Yeah. How many cars? I didn't do it. I got to write down every transaction for this past year. You can just go through. If you just go back to January of this year and start looking at my videos, you can probably count on how many cars I bought. If you want to take the time to go through every video, you could probably, start at the Hot Pepper Red Bronco was the first purchase of the year. I believe, what was the second one there? See, for me, just blink, gone. But anyways, we talked about that yesterday. What am I doing next? Well, today, hopefully, if I can make the time work, I'm going to take, I think, the F-150 over to LA 10 and get the windows tinted. I'm definitely doing that. Got to go down to Kuhn Sterling Ford and get my bed rug. I'm definitely going to pick that up. But, geez, then last night the kid's like, let's take it to Tennessee and tow with it. But I don't know. That's a modified rear suspension. I got to put electric brake control in it. I mean, just projects right now. Just on the Ice Age side, it's just putting electronic brake controller in the Bronco. That's a project. If I go to the F-150, that'll be a freaking project. I mean, yeah, just projects. But yeah, so what's the next adventure? I mean, I got to look at my F-150 Lightning status. Yeah. Can you even imagine if that deal went down? I don't know. Yeah. Wow. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the nice comments. Get some really great comments out there. I just love reading them. I really do. I enjoy looking at the comments, but also I think to myself, oh my God, I don't even, nothing for me to worry about. But boy, oh boy, if all of a sudden you had 100 comments, how would you even respond? I mean, how do you even handle that? And for me as an individual, I just didn't feel like when he's watching my video, they just feel like, that guy doesn't care, but it's like, that isn't that. How do you manage your time in a video, to respond to all these comments, which don't take it the wrong way. I enjoy the comments. And that's not my challenge. I'm not that big. So, but it's all fine. I just enjoy doing my videos and sharing what I do. And that's all it's about. So, and I hope others can enjoy it too. So, hey, everybody have a great day, safe day, and stay tuned for some more adventures